Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Pseudo's Crochet and More. This is your host Crystal. Today is finally the tutorial for the ugly granny sweater hat. That is what I'm calling it. So I do apologize that today's video did get released a little later than I was hoping for it, but I had a lot to go through, edit and all that stuff. So without further ado, I will go ahead and get us down to the table so we can start stitching up a ugly granny sweater hat. Okay, now that we're down at the table, I'm going to show you exactly what materials you'll need, and I do apologize for the yucky. This is a big mouse pad, and I just use this for tutorials because it's easier. Why is it doing this? This is going to drive me nuts. Stop falling. Is it because I didn't tighten that? Maybe. There we go. Okay, let me wait for it to focus. Focus. There we go. Okay. So, this is to make the hat that you saw me wearing, the ugly granny sweater hat, beanie. I'm not sure what to call it other than the ugly granny sweater hat, because I'm using the yarn that was in the, not the correct Crochet Society's advent calendar for last year. I am starting with the last color that I left off with, which was pink for the first hat that I made. Now again, I don't know how much yarn I use. I do know I classify this about a 3-weight yarn. I am using a 4mm crochet hook. You can use whichever one will get your gauge. Okay, and I'm using two mystery balls, because I just picked a color, put it together to the next one, and so on and so on. I will do a separate video for the scarf because I still want to do that. I still have to figure out if I'm going to do just a back and forth granny stitch or if I'm going to do something different for the scarf. It will not be a very wide scarf, so just to let you know that. Okay, so we are going to start with a magic ring, cinch circle, however you want to call it. And this is the way I do that. So this is the working yarn, this is the tail. So I take it and I put the tail under the working yarn to form a ribbon or a fish or whatever. This is going to be the magic ring part here. And we're going to hold this together and then just hold it. Use your 4mm hook, grab the yarn, pull it through, and slip stitch to hold that together. Now, because I'm not used to this size of this hook yet, and I do apologize for that, this is not picking up this yarn. Come on, why are you not picking it up? Because I know it works with a 4mm hook, so why that was being a pain in the butt, I don't know. So then just cinch it down. Do not pull it too tight, to where this becomes just a knot to make a standard chain and all that. So I'm going to wait for that to focus. So this is what it will look like on your hook. You'll have a loop below it or above it. If you're left-handed, just reverse what I showed you and you'll be able to do this as well. So what we're going to do is start with chain 3. I'm going to 1, 2, 3. This counts as your first double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to put 11 more double crochets into the ring. So this is number 2. Number 3. number 4, number 5, and number 6. And as you can see, there's a tail here. If it's beginning to be a little too big for the opening, you can pull on that and it will make that hole smaller. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're on 7. 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now we need to make one more. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this tail to close up that hole just a little bit more. And 12. Okay. And if you need to, you can pull out your hook, make a big loop at the top, and count back just to make sure that you have 12 double crochets in the first round. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the top of the chain 3 is 12. So that's 12. Now we're going to put the hook back in, and we're going to slip stitch at the top of the chain 3. Now if you don't know how to find the top of the chain 3, we're not going to count that slip stitch at the very beginning. That's not part of it. So you count one up from it, or if you need to, you can use a stitch marker and mark the third chain after you've done that chain 3. So this is the chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to go through both loops if you can and slip stitch. Okay. And then in the next round, we're going to round 2. We're going to start with a chain 3. This counts as your first double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and I'll show you on how to do the stitch marker. I'm waiting for it to focus. There we go. So 1, 2, 3. So the stitch right below the one on the hook is the one that you'll want to mark. Now you don't have to use this big of a stitch marker. You can use a smaller one, your preference. And then into the same stitch, we're going to do a double crochet into the same stitch. Okay. So you can just kind of eyeball it, because it will be a little hard to get right back into that top of the chain 3. Okay, and then you're going to put 2 double crochet into each remaining stitch, so you should have 24 double crochet at the end of the round. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, this is kind of splitty yarn, so 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and that's it for round 2. Now this right here is not a stitch. That's the top, that's the connecting part for the chain 3. That's the slip stitch, so ignore that. Now you'll want to make sure, if you didn't count while you were going through, that you do have 24 stitches here. If you need to, you can pull on the tail to close that little hole up in the top of the hat. So now we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, and if you've used your stitch marker, you'll know exactly where that's at. If not, again, you count from the bottom up, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and then you'll want to make sure that you try to get both loops. If you can't, that's okay. Just do the best you can. Now, like I mentioned earlier, while you're working on that, this is a DK lightweight yarn that I'm using. So anything DK, and you should have 24 double crochets all the way around. So 2 double crochets into every stitch for round 2. Now we're going to start round 3. Round 3 starts the same way as the 2 previous rows. We're going to go ahead and chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I do apologize. The lighting, I can't turn off the extra light from my camera because then it looks too dark. If I turn it on, it's glaring. I don't know if it's glaring off of this, the metal part, or what, but I will tell you exactly what I'm doing in each round here. So now, don't forget to place your stitch marker in the 3rd chain that you just made, which is the one right below the loop, or the one on the hook, the loop right below the hook. And then we're going to 2 double crochet into the next chain. So, into the next chain. Wow. Into the next stitch. To the next stitch. We're going to do 2 double crochets, because that chain 3 counts as your first double crochet. Okay, so it's 1 and then 2. And the start of the repeat is 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 into the next. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And you'll repeat that all the way back to the beginning of this round, and I'll meet you back at the beginning so that we can start round 4. Okay, so I'm coming to the last 2 stitches, so it's going to be 1 and then 2 into this one, and then you'll want to make sure that you have 36 My brain's not braining right this minute, but it'll be okay. And you can always double check that you have the right stitch count before you go on to the next round. And if you find where you've made a mistake, you can always frog it back to where that was at. So I'll go ahead and count just to make sure that I have 36. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36 where the stitch marker's at. So I do have exactly 36. You'll want to increase each row by 12. So now we're going to go ahead, I'm going to take the stitch marker out, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3. Okay, now this is very fuzzy yarn, so I have a feeling there is definitely wool in this. Again, it's not too scratchy wool, but if you mess up something and you have to frog it, it does kind of get stuck too. Alright, and just like round 3, round 4 is going to start with a chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Then don't forget to put your stitch marker back in. 2, 3. Into the chain that's right below the one on the hook, and then we're going to double crochet to the next stitch, and then 2 double crochet to the next. This is where the increase happens. And then the repeat is 2 double crochet, 1 in the next, 1 double crochet into the next 2 chains. So it's 1 and 2, and then into the next one is 2 double crochets, 3 and 4, and you'll repeat that all the way back around to the stitch marker, and you should have 48 stitches at the end of this row. And now meet you back up on the last 3 stitches, so you can see how I end that. Alright, so I made it back to the last 3 stitches, so it's going to be 1 double crochet into the next, 1 into the next, 1 double crochet, that's 2, and then 2 into the last one, which counts as 3 and 4, 3 and 4, and again you should have 48 stitches. If you end up and you're on this row and you end with just like 2 stitches, then you know that you missed or miscounted where the increases went. But it should end with 2 double crochets since you started with 1 with the chain 3 at the beginning of the row. Okay, and now let's go ahead and finish off round 4 and start round 5. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the stitch marker, and then we're going to slip stitch to secure this round here. Okay, then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And don't forget to put your stitch marker into the top of the chain 3. I will also have the written, it'll be written instructions in the upper corner up here for you, so if you get lost, you'll have that there. So since we're on round 3, this is the first double crochet with the chain 3. We're going to double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then the next stitch is going to be the increase, so that's 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And it's getting hung up on the fibers again. There's 1 and 2. And your row should increase by 12 stitches, so you should have 60 stitches at the end of this row. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the start of the repeat. We're going to single crochet or double crochet into the next 3, 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and then the next one gets 2 double crochets. That's 4, and 5. And this yarn that I'm using, I'm classifying it as a DK weight, but it does change thickness every once in a while. So if you have a roving DK, lightweight DK yarn, you can use that, or you can make a magic ring with random scraps that you know are that weight. Okay, so that is the repeat. So it's 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches, and then 2 double crochet into the next one. I will meet you back at the end of this round. Alright, so I'm at my last 4 stitches. So this is the last increase for this round. So we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and the last stitch gets 2 stitches, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Okay. And that finishes round 5. And if you forget what round you're on, you can always count the rings. Wait until this focuses a little bit. So this very first one here is 1, that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to go ahead and secure this round by slip stitching into the top of the chain 3. I'm going to go ahead and remove the stitch marker. And round 5 is complete now. So that's what it should look like at this point. Round 5 should measure approximately just shy, well, a little over, maybe 5 and like 4. I take that back because I'm using this here. I'm starting at the 1 and going over to this one, so it stops right here. So just a little over 4 inches, not quite 5. We need to make sure that the top of the hat is 6 inches across when you measure it. So it, depending on your tension, depends on how many rounds you will have to go. But I will show you how many rounds I'm going with my tension. We're going to chain 3 to start round 6. 1, 2, and 3. Don't forget to put the stitch marker into the top of that chain 3, which is right below the one on the hook. And then we're going to double crochet into the next 3 stitches, because this counts as the first one. So 1 double crochet into the next stitch, that's 2. 1 double crochet into the next stitch, that's 3. 1 double crochet into the next, that's 4. And then 2 double crochet into the next stitch. So that's 5 and 6. You can also tell where your increase should be by looking at the previous row. It's always going to be the second double crochet of that increase row. So if you lose track and you notice that you're going into the first one or going into just a double crochet, then there's something that happened in that row that made that off. So that's another indicator that you can use to determine whether or not you're in the right stitch for that row. It's increase when you're doing the increase rows. So this is going to start the repeat from here. So we're going to double crochet into the next 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then into the next stitch, it's going to be 2 double crochets for the increase. 5 and 6. And that's going to be the repeat throughout this row. So 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches, and then 2 double crochet into the next. And I'll meet you back at the end of this row on my last 5 stitches. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches left, which is the correct count. I'm going to go ahead and finish round 6 with 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 into the last stitch. Then we're going to add 1 more stitch to this one to finish the repeat for round 6. And then I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 from the previous row, from the start of the row, to close it up. Now, okay, I'm going to go ahead and measure this to see how wide it is across. So I'm going to go 1 inch, just shy of 6 inches. So I'm going to stop with the increases on at row 6. That's the last increase row. Now, if you need this to be a larger hat, you can keep going. If you need it smaller, obviously you'll want to cut back a row or 2 depending on what you're making it for. If you're making it for a baby, a toddler, you'll want to definitely make sure it is a smaller top. Now this is the crown of the hat because this is a top down hat. I'm sorry if I didn't say that before. This is top down. So you'll, if you make hats all the time, you'll know exactly how wide you need to have this be for different sizes. So it is very easy to adjust it depending on what size you're making it for. And I still have not measured, let me see here. Alright. I'm going to measure my head real quick. And I don't know if I'm measuring it right or not, but... And I'm about 22.5 inches, so this will fit a 22 to 23 inch head. Again, I don't know if I measured that right. I just kind of eyeballed it, so... Alright. I'll have to have my husband help me measure it another time so we can get an actual... what size this will fit. I'm going to say 22 to 23 inch head. So, what we're going to go ahead and do is on round 7, I'm just going to put 1 double crochet into each stitch. We're no longer doing any increases, but we are going to start with the chain 3. 1, 2, 3. This is just to kind of help round it out a little bit. Don't forget to put your stitch marker in if you need to know where your the top of the chain 3 is. And again, just 1 double crochet all the way around. I'm just going to keep you guys on here for this part and talk to you while I'm doing this. If any of the rows you need to pause, speed up, however you want to do it, that's fine. You will see the steps on up in the up here. When I do post the video, I'm going to put the each round's instructions for you on there. Now, see how the color, you went from pink to orange, back to a pink. It's crazy. And this pattern is, you need to make sure that whatever round you end on is divisible by 3, because the granny stitch is a multiple of 3. So you just want to make sure that that's, and each one should be divisible by 3, but in case it's not, you may have to either add a round of increases, or take one away. And at the end of round 6, the last increase round, you should have, let's see, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72 stitches. And I will put that up in the upper corner as well. Upper right corner. Now I will be coming out with the scarf pattern. It probably won't be for a couple weeks, but we'll see how that goes. I'm still debating on whether or not I'm going to just do it as a granny stitch, or if I'm going to do something different with it. I am recording this the week before Valentine's Day, so you guys won't see this till the Tuesday after, which is the February 17th. I hope you all are enjoying this so far. I'm trying to minimize on how long it's taking for the video, because I know a lot of people don't like to watch long tutorials. Make it quick, make it simple. And that's what I'm trying to do here for you. I would normally come back at the end of this, at the end of the round, but with it just being a round of double crochet, I figured I'd stay here and talk to you guys. I hope if you celebrate Valentine's Day, you had a nice day, and even if you didn't, you had a nice day as well. I'm not too big about that holiday. I just, if you're going to show appreciation, in my opinion, and everybody has their own opinion, but you shouldn't have one day a year, and some states 2 days a year, because up in the northern states have a day called Sweetest Day in September, I do believe, which is just another day like Valentine's Day. You go out, you buy chocolates, you buy cards, you go to dinner, but I've never been big about it. And even when my husband and I got married, before we got married, I told him, I said, I'm not big on it. I'm really not. It doesn't matter to me whether we celebrate it or not. If he gets me something, that's fine. But to us, you should just celebrate your love, whoever you love throughout the year. It shouldn't be a big to do, a 1 day a year like a lot of people do. I remember growing up, in school, you used to make a box for cards for the rest of the students to, give the teacher. I think I used an old tissue box one time, decorated it. Don't think I got very many Valentines, but then again, I wasn't a very popular kid in school either, so. And that might have to do with why I don't really care for it. I don't know, but my grandmother, who crocheted and knitted, my mom's mom, she would give us little Valentine's Day cards and a little bit of money in it every year until we were old enough that that she didn't do it anymore. But by then she was getting older, obviously, and my grandfather had already passed away, and I was out of school and all that stuff. But again, just because I don't really celebrate it doesn't mean you guys don't have to. I'm just letting you know. And no mean comments about that with the whole Valentine's Day thing. Not everybody's into them holidays, whether they have a significant other person or not. I think restaurants gouge you out the wazoo for special dinners, and then they take reservations. So if you don't get a reservation, you're out of luck, type of thing. So yeah. Now this one that I'm making right now is slightly different than my original one, because my original one I went 7 rounds, and I think it's because the yarn was a little bit thinner to get the about 6 inches across when I measured it. So, because I'm actually redoing this. Not everybody's perfect, so. But yeah, I mean, my husband's gonna try to get his motorcycle registered this week if he can, and go practice if the weather's okay, because the weather here is supposed to be nasty. Well, not nasty, but it's supposed to rain possibly Friday and Saturday, so if it does, then he's not going to go out riding with wet roads, because he is still a new rider. And I do appreciate that he takes that into consideration, because, I mean, I know he does what he can. So, but, and yesterday was President's Day. So, I don't know, kids probably were out of school for a long weekend. They probably didn't go back till today, so you've got little ones in school. And I can't, well, February is a short month, but February seems to go by a lot faster than January does. And I don't know if it's because it's the start of the new year, or if it's because February is always the shortest month, because we either have 28 or 29 days. Depends on when the last time we had 29 days was. I still don't get that, but alright, so I'm back at the beginning. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. And I'm hoping you guys aren't picking up any of my mother-in-law's conversation with her son, because she's on the phone and she has to have it on speaker, so hopefully that's not getting picked up. Alright, so this is going to start curling, and you can either fix it like this, however you want to do it. But we're going to go ahead and start round 8, which is going to be the start of the granny stitch. We're going to go ahead and chain 3 to start. 1, 2, 3. And still use your stitch marker because you will need to find the top of the chain 3 when you come back around to finish it. So, and then into that same stitch, or the best you can get into that where you slip stitched at, is to put 2 more double crochets. Now, if you can't really fit it there, that's fine. You can go around, you know, around somehow, some way is fine. And then we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip 2 stitches. So that was the first one. So we're skipping 1, 2, and into the third. We're going to put 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And that's the repeat. So we're going to chain 1, skip 2, 1, 2, into the third, 3 double crochet, and chain 1. And you'll do that all the way around, and you should be skipping 2 at the very end and then slip stitching into the top of chain 3. I will meet you back at the end of round 8. Alright, so I'm back at the end. I'm at the end of round 8, and I'm going to go ahead. I just chained 1, so I'm going to skip 2, 1, 2, into the third. I'm going to put my last 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to skip the next 2, 1, 2, and slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 to finish off round 8. And depending on what kind of yarn you're using, if it's fuzzy, it might get stuck there. My yarn color is changing now. So that's the end. Now, we're just like a regular granny square or granny stitch in the square, is that we're going to go ahead and slip stitch over to the chain 1 space to start round 9. So we're going to go over here. And you really can't see the color difference when you do this. Only if you're really looking at the hat can you tell where you slip stitched over to the first chain space. Now, if you want to and avoid that, you can always fasten off here at the end of round 8 and start in any of the chain 1 spaces. It's up to you. Alright, and then we're going to slip stitch into that chain space, that chain 1, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Don't forget your, why is that coming up so bright? Like it's almost like a neon color. I don't know. Let me see if it'll focus. It's actually yellow, but it looks like a bright yellow here. Alright, so I'm going to mark that third chain, and then we're going to put 2 more double crochets into that chain 1 space. And then chain 1, and this starts the repeat for round 9 and every row after. So you're just going to go ahead and go 3 double crochets into the chain 1 spaces all the way back around, and chaining, don't forget to chain 1 before you slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 for every round. Your chain 3 is going to move along the hat. I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time. Two and 3, chain 1, and then 3 double crochet to the next. Now I did a total of 19 rows, so I'm counting from row 1. So, and you can make it shorter if you don't want it as long. You can make it longer if you want it longer. But I will meet back up with you after I finish my last round to show you what it looks like, what the measurement is, and how many rounds I did to go on this one. Alright, so I just finished my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th row of the granny stitch. And I did try it on. Now, you can go as long or as short as you want. There's no, say you have to go as many rows as I went. If you want a shorter hat, you can go back, stop where you want to stop. This just covers my ears almost to the very bottom of my earlobes where you would get them pierced at. So all you have to do once you're finished, I put my stitch marker in here so I can show you. Just need to fasten off and then weave in your ends, and you've got a nice looking hat. This is what I normally do. Is some people do chain 2 and like doing a double knot. I just do chain 1, pull through some of the yarn. Let me move this up just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Now, right now, the sun is coming through, so I don't have any extra light. Hopefully this doesn't, it's not glaring really bad on where I'm recording to, so just leave a long enough tail to weave in your end to secure it. I don't know. And once you pull that all the way through, just tighten it as best you can. And with it being like a granny stitch, what I do, I'm going to turn this around here, and I'm hoping I have a needle for you guys so you can see how I do my weaving in ends. Now this will look a little weird here because of the chain 3 not being very tight, but you can actually take that back through there and kind of pull it a little tighter. Now watch, I won't have that in here, will I? No, that's not one, and I know I had one here. Okay, so you just want to weave your ends in. I don't have a needle nearby. I'm sorry. I wish I did for you. Now, I will measure this for you from the top down so you can see on how long it is. And again, you don't have to go as long as I did. You can go even longer. If you go longer, it could turn into more of a slouchy hat than if you want to. Sorry, I'm trying to get my camera to be a little bit more, trying to keep my mouse out of the view here, but trying to get the hat in the picture here. Okay, so I already fastened off. I'll weave those tails in a little bit. Now, I do have some yarn left over from that last magic ball. I still have some blue and this yellowish gold. I don't even know what I want to call that. It's a really weird color that I can add to the scarf, so I will be using the remainder of this with the scarf. Now, again, this isn't a little lay flat right now, so I'm just going to put the one up here at the very top. It's kind of hard to see because I don't have it in focus. Okay, so the one is all the way up here at the top with the pink, and I'm going to measure down. And it's just about 8 inches. So, like I said, you can go as long as you want, as short as you want. You don't have to do you know, it being 8 inches from the top down. You could make it 7 inches. You could make it 6 if it's for somebody who's got a smaller head. It's all up to you. Now, I will be coming out with the tutorial next week for the scarf. Let me know if you want me to use the granny stitch for that, or if you want me to use something else in the comment section. If you stuck along stuck it through to the end to see how this turned out, and I think it turned out pretty good. This color here is actually purple. If I turn down my light, it will glare a lot right now. And then this dark green, the blue, this more of it like a teal blue, yellow, pink, orange, and another pink was way up here at the top that I used, that was left over from the first hat that I made. Now this hat, this tension was a lot different, and I think it was because a lot of the yarn was thinner in certain spots than this was, so this one did wind up being a little bit different in how many rows I increased and all that. But you can also change that too, depending on if you're making it for a child, a baby. You'll only want to make the crown big enough for a baby, a toddler, a young adult, you know. And then it will, each row after an increase will divide by 3, and you can do that extra row of one double crochet into every stitch after your last increase to get your granny stitch to be lower. I did it a little different on this one, where right after the last increase I just started doing the granny stitch. So this granny stitch started higher up on my hat, this hat, than it will on this one, and you can kind of see the difference here. Granny stitch is way up here on this one, and it's way down here on this one. So it's all up to you. If you don't want to do the extra row, you don't have to. I did it on this one because the 6th row was the last increase to get it as close as I could to this dimension. When I measured this was like 6 inches with the 7 increase rounds, and then I went just straight to the granny stitch. So again, this is very customizable. You can, if you want to use a thicker yarn, you're more than welcome to. If you want to use a 4 weight, I wouldn't do anything bigger than maybe a 5 weight with this. But then again, it's up to you. I would just, again, measure your increase rounds as you go to make sure that you don't have to pull back if you don't need it to be that big for the top of the hat. And then you just start your granny stitch, and that's it. And I called this the ugly granny sweater because it's random yarn that I got in a dupe advent calendar. It was supposed to be Crochet Society's advent calendar, and it wound up being somebody from China that was scamming people during the holidays, and everybody's pricing was different. I don't know if they all came from the same place, but everybody got the same thing, was this yarn. And I'm kind of happy that I kept it because I'm going to get 2 hats out of it, and I'm going to get a scarf out of it. So was it worth the 60 bucks? I don't know. I really don't know if it was really worth the 60 bucks, but I guess time will tell. And I will probably either put this in my washer on gentle wash, cold cycle, cold water, gentle cycle, cold water. I do have a setting where it does not actually agitate it. It's I think active wear setting. I'm going to try that, and I'll lay these all flat to dry so they don't pill up too bad, because I know that there's wool in here because of the way that the yarn is it's got fuzziness to it. Halo, some people call it fuzz, halo, things like that. So yeah, I will hopefully have the scarf done by the I will start working on it this week. While I recorded this one, I'll work on it and get it set, done up. But if you think that there's a better stitch that I should use for the scarf, or if I should just stick with the granny stitch because that would go along with the hat. Now, the colors that I have left, I will show those to you as well. These are the last two. I don't know how well you'll see them, but this one's got like a peach color, a brown, a green, a light green, and then a darker green. This one's got a darker green, a pink, a tan, and a white. And then I'll also be adding the colors that were left over from the hat that you just saw me crochet up. So I may give it a little time so you guys can watch this video and then let me know in the comment section. I might do a poll to see if you guys want me to do the granny stitch for the scarf, or if I'll come up with a couple other stitches that I could do that won't take up too much yarn. I do believe I can get a good amount out of this, considering these hats only took 2 cakes each. There was 4 colors in each cake, so there was 8 colors, not including this one because this was from a different one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the 8th one is not on this one because I used the rest of the pink that's at the bottom of this one here. So, well, I hope you all enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you like my content and you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe and then the notification bell so you're always aware of when I put out new content. Until next time, I hope you all stay safe, stay warm or cool, and happy crocheting. Happy crocheting.